Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web. Once again, I'm your host, Jeremiah Fox, here with my guest, Josh Margolis of the Brooklyn. Fuck, I can't get it right. The Gowanus Music Club in Brooklyn. Got Brooklyn. It's the Nets hat. I got Brooklyn on my brain. Hardcore. Brooklyn.
It's all right. We represent.
We represent. So speaking of representing, you were just listening when we came back from that commercial break to a track that was produced by was that students or was
no that's instructors actually instructors. I am a member of a band called Brooklyn Pearl, and we actually record in a studio with the same name in Dumbo, run by Peter Fox, Trevor Vaughn, who are both in the band. And we have two GMC instructors in the band on top of me. So we've got Spencer Gallup and Nick Davies on guitar and bass, respectively. The special guest on that track is Tracy Bonham,
who I just met recently as well.
Like one of my favorite people.
She's a trip.
She's awesome. And
you know what she told me? I asked her what her axe was, and she goes, "I play spoons." And I was like, "Yo, that's dope." And she was like, "I don't play spoons." I was just like, "Yo, you had me." That like she was so convincing.
She probably could.
She probably could. She's badass. But I was just like, "Wow!" And she's like, "No, stupid."
She her axe is mainly violin and guitar. She's a super talented singer-songwriter, as you know.
Yeah, and we talked about singing.
Yeah, so we're actually about to do a benefit with Tracy at the Legal Aid Society on the 23rd of this month.
Yeah.
So shout out to that.
You want to give some details on that real quick over here?
Yeah, I know it's at the Flatiron, which is
the Flatiron Room, right?
Flatiron Room, which
dope
is
venue. Dope venue.
It's a cool venue. We've done this for the last 3 years. It's for a great cause.
They make spectacular drinks there.
Cool.
Like spectacular. I'm a cocktail guy. I've done cocktail menus for places, and I went in there and I was like, "Yo, this place, they don't cut corners." Like
right on. It's
one of the best Manhattans I ever had. I was just like, "Yo," and that's so simple. But this guy he was just like Yoda with the spoon. I was like, "Yeah, this is amazing."
Respect, man. So you can go on Legal Aid's website, Legal Aid Society. The tickets are affordable, and there's an open bar. Speaking of drinks,
dude, hit that, guys. Hit that. No joke.
For 3 hours.
The Flatiron Room. And what you said, the 23rd?
23rd.
What time is that?
We've got a crack band with Tracy up in front. It's from 7 to 10, and we are going to be doing not only Tracy Bonham original songs, but a bunch of Prince covers.
Oh,
so I'm very excited.
I'm bringing my pole
because there you go, man. Because I've never played any Prince before.
Oh, really?
So
Prince music is the most fun to play.
But he's
especially as a drummer.
Man, yeah, right on. Yeah, so I'm excited about that.
And where can people get tickets for that?
The Legal Aid Society's website for sure.
The Flatiron Room might have something on their website as well.
I haven't looked, but I think so. Anyway, getting back to the track you just heard, that's an original song that Peter Fox and Trevor Vaughn wrote and the band sort of arranged. And I had this idea that just having worked with Tracy a lot and doing production, that she would be amazing doing sort of that Motown 3-part harmony kind of thing, which she's like, woo, so fast in the studio. It's amazing. Nice. Like 2 hours later, boom.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So that's what you heard. That's a rough mix of the track. If people didn't, catch the lyrics, it for sure is an anti-Trump song. Without too much dressing on it. It's just about somebody who really perceives the world as his kingdom. Gold toilet seats, emperor's clothes, and so obvious. And we just really wanted to release something this year, important year, election year, to make a statement about how we feel about the people that are running this place and our desire to change that. So I guess that's the best way I can describe the song.
No, that's fantastic. And then one of the things I always like to do is a little backstory. Can you talk about your beginnings in music? You went to Berkeley in Boston. You went to the New School.
I went to the New School, yeah. Lane College.
And you're from nearby, right?
I grew up in Westport, Connecticut.
Mhm.
Yeah, which is about an hour outside the city.
And like you said, in your bio, you were surrounded by like awesome musicians at an early age.
Awesome sisters too, man.
Oh,
I have
good.
4 sisters, and
Jesus.
I'm the second to youngest. Yeah.
Wow.
And there was always incredible music in my house growing up, every single day.
Either of your parents musical in any way?
My father was a lawyer, a civil rights attorney, and my mom was an architect.
You gotta meet Sam Himmelstein. You're like the younger version of him.
I am.
Yeah, that's great.
I love his name.
Yeah.
Hamilstein.
No, he's awesome.
So they were passionate, politically active kinds of people, and the music, the albums, vinyl. Let's talk about vinyl. Reflected that there was a lot of
as a vinyl guy.
Yeah, right on. Like my parents had a deep collection of,
No,
going back.
my dad too.
Yeah,
Definitely.
going back to the big band era, which is what they grew up listening to Odetta. My mother was really into Odetta. Bob Dylan. People who really expressed all kinds of opinions through original songwriting. The sort of early 70s, I think, is my sort of earliest memories of music that just grabbed me, and just did not let go. Beatles, Stones, James Taylor, on and on and on. Excuse me. So that was all happening, and I had the good fortune of having Kenny Aronoff come to our home one day. Kenny is
not everybody gets that.
Yeah,
by the way. For those of you who don't know,
is.
Kenny Aronoff is that's rare. That's very special.
Yeah. So Kenny, in a nutshell, as Jeremiah knows, is a world-class session drummer, live performer. At this point, he's played with everyone under the sun. He started out with John Cougar, and he went to Guns N' Roses and Aerosmith and Paul McCartney. He's just done it all.
Yeah.
He's such a huge energy, force of nature kind of person.
Yeah.
And I was a little guy when I met him, and he had a red sparkle drum set in his.
I bet he did.
I gotta flip this because we went to his house, and he had this in his barn. He had a red sparkle drum set.
Beautiful.
And I just was 5 years old or whatever. I just was like, wow, that's it.
No, I know.
And I joke with my wife Amy that my life is being ruddered by the whims of a 5-year-old boy, basically.
Same here.
With creative people.
For me, I was like 8, and my mom's friend took me to see Motley Crue. This is like mid '80s, and Tommy Lee. That tour was doing it was the Girls tour. He was doing the drum set, the drum solo. The thing came out spinning around, and girls are like raising their tops around me and everything. And I was like, this is it. Like, I had no idea. Later, I'd go to school for art music, but I was like, like.
I'm gonna apologize again for our pole dancing comments.
I mean, it's sincere, at least. It's in the fabric a little bit, but yeah, I feel the same way. I'm still dictated by that, and I think one of the reasons you and I hit it off right away is because that's still in there, kind of in a way. I was reading this thing this guy was saying recently about not letting the people that really get it are the ones who didn't let the system completely overtake them.
What do you mean by that?
In terms of like just succumbing to like, I got to go to college and get a job and have kids and get a dog and a house, and like I've rebelled against so much of that, and like there was a price to pay for that because I did a lot of stupid things to like incubate that, but but it was to retain that inner like 8-year-old that was at that concert, like, at all costs, I'm going to pursue this. I just like set my sights on it, and I was just like, I'm not letting go. And I feel like you were just kind of expressing that same thing, just kind of being like dictated by that like inner child that saw the sparkle drum set and was just like, this dude's amazing.
I need that, but just at that age, I think, and you said 8, I said 5, whatever. In those formative years, as they say, your brain is sort of dictated by your emotions more than your intellect, I think. And I think that's kind of a wonderful thing because you have to be open and just receptive to the things that come in, right? And respond to them in a way that's true for you in that moment.
And,
right?
And to tie that back to what we were talking about earlier with like Zappos, I mean, it's the same thing. They were not, it's not people's intellect that was like, oh, you know, these guys are giving me a solid. They reached them on an emotional level.
Right.
And that's what gets the real response.
Right.
Getting to that next layer of the brain, not just that top layer where people like, you know, discuss.
It goes all the way up the chain, man.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you remember when Gore ran against Bush, and everybody was like, well, the reason he lost was because he was just he appealed to people's intellects, but not their heart. And Bush, whatever you think of Bush, was like the guy you could have the beer with and like have a heart-to-heart talk with. And I think there's so much sort of truth to that when it comes to staying true to one's life mission. And that's really, I think, at the heart of what we're talking about, where it's easy to kind of get knocked off of that the older you get. There are expectations in place. You know, my father was an academician, and so he had his own set of expectations for me that I had to unfortunately rebel against in order to do what I felt was my true calling. And boy, we butted heads.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. Like not letting the system take you over and just like whatever, just fuck that.
Right. So it's like you have to have a really strong core to do that. The irony is that my parents provided that for me at the same time. So
you created this.
Kind of,
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
like you bought all those drum lessons and plopped the drum kit in the middle.
What did you
it.
think was going to happen?
Thank you, Jeremiah.
All right, with that, we're going to take another break. We'll be back. You're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web.